The power of storytelling is often underestimated by professionals and organizations looking to take the next step in their development. I remember early on in my career when I had an idea that I thought would be transformational for the organization I worked for. I did the research, I did the analysis, I came up with a recommendation, but I was not successful in convincing leadership at that time that the idea was the right one to pursue. Many years later, once I had built additional credibility inside the organization, my idea was proven to be the right idea for the business to pursue. And I was able to finally convince leadership that it was the right direction to go in. If we had decided to go in that direction a couple of years earlier, the business would have benefited even further. That episode illustrated for me that the strength of one's ideas isn't always the end-all be-all of professional success or influence. The ability to tell a story, the ability to gain buy-in and motivate action matters just as much as the depth and quality of the ideas that you have. In this technology and increasingly AI-driven world, storytelling is the one skill that can't be handed over to technology. If you want to succeed in this ever-evolving environment and get your ideas heard and actioned, you must learn the power of storytelling. Here's one thing that I've learned over my career as an individual contributor, a leader, as an advisor and trainer today to Fortune 500 companies in the area of storytelling. It's this: human beings make decisions not just based on logic, but based on emotion as well. And the power of storytelling allows you to connect with stakeholders on multiple different levels. One thing that shocked me when I first started working in large organizations is that the higher up you went in the organizations, the more important the decisions were, the more money was attached to the decision, and the quicker it was made. I'm sure some of you have been in organizations before where there is more discussion and debate over the $20 worth of snacks that go into the snack room than the $100 million decision being made at the C-suite level that day. The higher up your stakeholders are, the bigger the decisions that they're making, the faster they have to be made, because the impact of the indecision multiplies day by day. And when you are dealing with stakeholders who have to make multiple big decisions quickly, the power of storytelling is how you stand out, how you influence the decision-making process, and how you increase your own influence inside the organization. It is imperative for any professional today to understand that we've established why the power of storytelling is so critical to advance your career and your own interests. Let's talk about how to become a better storyteller for business. For better or for worse, in corporate America, the way that we tell stories today is through slides. And so to become a better storyteller for business, you have to become a better storyteller in PowerPoint. The best way that I've found to tell stories for business is through the pyramid principle. The pyramid principle tells us that we lead our stories with one key takeaway curated to our audience. After sharing our key takeaway, we share the top 3 reasons why that key takeaway is the right one for them to act on or believe. The challenge that a lot of professionals face, including ones that I train one-on-one and in group settings, is that there are 17 reasons why their stakeholders should believe or act on their key takeaway. It's incredibly difficult to identify the top 3 reasons why someone should do or believe anything. But telling a shorter, more curated story is critical to it having its desired effect. Once you've identified the top reasons why someone should buy into your key takeaway, you turn those reasons into chapters of your story. And each chapter includes 2 to 3 slides that break down the data that reinforces that piece of rationale. In short, you're building a story from the top down. You're starting with the end in mind, the key takeaway, bringing in supporting rationale to bear, and finally including the right data to convince your stakeholders that your approach is the right one. What most people do most of the time is the opposite. They start with all the information, they start with all the data. By the way, I don't know if you've noticed, but we live in a world that's drowning in data. You will never get to the end of the data that you can look for or find. They start with all of that data and try to extract insights from it as they go along. What ends up happening eventually is that you'll put 1 million slides together, they'll be busy, they'll include a lot of information, and you'll try to force fit a story on top of the slides, instead of coming up with the story first and creating just the right amount of slides to fit that narrative. The pyramid principle allows us to be efficient, allows us to be hypothesis-driven.
Do you want to accelerate your career and stand out as a top performer? Invest in the Excel and PowerPoint for Consulting program today. In this self-paced video program, you'll learn the key analytical and presentation skills required to succeed in a consulting role. It's not how to use Excel and PowerPoint, the programs, but it teaches you the strategy behind the models and decks, how to quickly extract insights from raw data and deliver those insights to clients with clarity and authority. Set yourself up for promotion and success. Get Excel and PowerPoint for Consulting today. The link in this episode's show notes.
The academic approach, which starts from the bottom and goes up, is a long, winding road, and you might never find your way to the destination. In short, if you want to become a more effective storyteller, you have to start focusing on the story first and the slides second. The deliverables you're putting together serve the narrative, not the other way around. So all of this sounds good in theory, but how do you actually take what I'm talking about and put it to action? Here are a couple of tactical next steps that you can start utilizing today. First, as you're writing your next email, putting your next meeting agenda together, starting to think about a presentation, identify first, who are my audience? What do I want them to do or believe? And how do I communicate that as succinctly as possible? My challenge to you, try and identify your key takeaway and communicate it in 10 words or less. Next, once you've identified that key takeaway, start to think about, from your audience's perspective, why they would believe or act on that key takeaway. Brainstorm a list. You'll come up with lots of reasons why that key takeaway is right for that audience. After that, start to think about which reasons would be the most important to your stakeholders. Those are the reasons that make the email. Those are the reasons you bring up in the meeting. Those are the reasons that make the presentation. What pyramid principle and this storytelling framework actually does is it clarifies your own thinking. And once you've clarified your own thinking, the communication naturally becomes so much easier. The challenge that so many people face is that they don't clarify their thinking first. They just start talking. They just start building slides. They just start writing emails, and they end up with a big jumbled mess. If you can instill in yourself the self-discipline to just take a couple of minutes before you start writing to think through who your audience is and what they need to hear, you'll find that your presentation creation, your email creation, your meeting creation process is so much more efficient. If you're interested in learning more about how you can increase the power of your storytelling and increase your influence with clients or with internal stakeholders, click the link below to learn more about how Management Consulted works with Fortune 500 teams around the world. Storytelling is the #1 skill that I recommend every professional build for the 21st century world of work. If you can't tell stories, you won't get promoted. If you can't tell stories, you won't be an influencer. And if that's okay with you, then you can stop watching right now. If that's not okay with you, then let's quickly talk about the power of storytelling. The #1 way that I found to become an effective storyteller in the world of work is through a framework called the pyramid principle. The pyramid principle tells us to lead with a key takeaway and support that key takeaway with a curated set of data. If you'd like to learn more about the pyramid principle and how Management Consulted can help you train yourself or your teams to become a better storyteller, click the link below.